Krishna. जय जय श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की जय, श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय, जगन्नाथ बाल सुभद्रा महारानी की जय, जय गौर नंदी हरि हरि बोल, जय गोपाल जय गुरु की जय. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to chant Jai Radha Madhav, and then after that we'll discuss verse number 35. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Bha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Bha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana, Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Bha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana, Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Jai Radha, Sam Sundar Radha, Sam Sundar Shri Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha, Damodar Radha, Damodar Shri Radha, Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jai Krishna Balaram, Nitai, Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hare Ram Sankirtan की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, विशंबल भक्ति वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेम नंदी, हरि हरि बोल, जय जय ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवी सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोक Bhakti Bhoti Nestiki. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunamilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatar Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Pankajnabhaya Namah Pankajmaline Namah Pankajnetraye Namaste Pankajamre Janmeshwarya Sruta Srivir Edmanam Madha Puman Naivaharti Avidatum Vai Toyam Nakinchanam Gochara. Om Purnamadhyam Purnamidam Punat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Atma Ramasya Munyu Nirgrantha Purukrame Kurvante Haituki Bhakti Aim Bhute Guno Hari. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanto Swamiti Namini. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatadesha Tarini Panchtatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktyakam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jai Shri Advaita Jai Shri Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Sankirtan ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Hare Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Guru and Gauranga ki Jai. Assemble Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Prem Nandi Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So kindly accept my humble obeisances. Good morning to everybody. So today I'm going to start reading from first canto, chapter number 3, that says that Krishna is the source of all the incarnation. So kindly let me share my screen here, and then we can do the discussion. Hare Krishna. So can you see the screen and slide that I'm sharing?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Very powerful verse, in fact, very, very powerful verse. All of these verses in the first 3 chapters, not 3 in fact, until 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Most of the verses that comes one after another, they are very potent verse. And these verses have a lot of information kind of squeezed in. So of course, person like me who are so unqualified to even get the opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam cannot unfold those mystery that is embedded with each verse. But by the mercy of Guru, Krishna, and all the assembled Bhaktivinoda, I'll try to make my best endeavor and try to understand these powerful verses. Evam janmani karmani ha kurtu rajanasya cha brahyanti samakavayo veda guhyati hritpate varnyanti. Evam janmani karmani hiya kartu rajanasya cha varnayanti samakavayo veda guhyani hritpate. Evam janmani karmani hiya kartu rajanasya cha varnayanti samakavayo veda guhyanti hritpate. Word by word meaning. Evam, thus, janmani, birth, karmani, activities, he, certainly, akartuhu, of the inactive, ajanasya, of the unborn, cha, and varnayanti, describe, sama, in the past, kavya, the learned, ved guhyanti, undiscoverable by the Vedas. Vedas cannot discover all the quality of the Lord. Hritpate, of the Lord of the heart. Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thus, learned men describe the birth and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literature. He is the Lord of the heart. Thus, learned man described the births and activities of the unborn, birth and activities of the unborn, contradiction, and inactive, one who does not act, or does not have to act. So how we can describe the activity of that person, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literature. So he is janma and action, karma, cannot be even described or cannot be fully understood even by the discovery of the Vedic, even by the discovery of the Vedic understanding. He is the Lord of the heart. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Both the Lord and the living entities are essentially all spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal, and neither of them has birth and death. So, both living being and Supreme Personality of Godhead are eternal, and neither of them have birth and death. That's point to be noted. The difference is that the so-called birth and disappearances of the Lord are unlike those of the living beings. The living beings who take birth and then again accept death are bound by the laws of material nature. But the so-called appearance and disappearance of the Lord are not actions of the material nature, but are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. They are described by the great sages for the purpose of self-realization. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord that this is so-called birth in the material world, and his activities are all transcendental, janma karma cha me divya. And simply by meditation on such activity, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from the material bondage. In the Shrutis, it is said that the birthless appears to take birth. The Supreme has nothing to do, but because he is omnipotent. Everything is performed by him naturally, as if done automatically. As a matter of fact, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his different activities are all confidential, even to the Vedic literature. Yet they are displayed by the Lord to bestow mercy upon the conditioned soul. We should always take advantage of the narration of the activities of the Lord, which are meditation on Brahman in the most convenient and palatable form. So, Hare Krishna, so we'll just try to understand some of the jewel that is hidden in the series of verses that we have been studying. So before we get into understanding the details of this verse, let's try to see what are the other verses before verse number 35 are talking about. So let's start from verse number 30, okay? Verse number 30 talks about, or before we even talk about verse number 30, let me give you some background. So this chapter, Krishna is the source of all incarnation. This chapter is very powerful chapter because in this chapter, first 5 verses talks about Purusha avatar. And then from verse number 6 to 27, it talks about Leela avatar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So after talking Purusha avatar, Leela avatar, then there are, verse number 28 that says that all of the incarnations that we have learned and we have heard about, they are in fact Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa. They are plenary expansion or expansion of his plenary expansion. So it's Kala or it's Amsa of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So verse number 28, up to that verse, it very much gives us the foundation. Verse number 28 is also called the Mulya Versa, which is also called in our parampara, in our Gaurya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Paribhasha Sutra. In other lineage, it might be called Charam Sutra or some others, but the essence is the same. But we normally use the word Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra is the sutra that gives the definition of particular subject. So after that, then the verse number 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, these verses are talking about how the Lord's other forms such as his Virat Rupa, material form, and his subtle form. So very important thing that I'm not sure, since I missed the previous class, there are very important theme through these 4 verses, verse number 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. And then after that 35 comes. So verse number 30 talks that Krishna has Abhyakt Murti Nam, his unmanifested form, and this whole cosmos is nothing but form of Krishna. And the concept of Virat Rupa comes, that this Virat Rupa is for the people who are neophyte, who cannot understand the spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or who are not eligible to understand or who do not have the qualification to understand the spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then verse number 31 talks that how the so-called scientific society has artificially imposed the material concept on the spirit soul. On the spiritual soul, there is artificial imposition on the material concept. So on spirit, soul, we just heard that Lord and soul, both of them are eternal. They have nothing to, do with this birth and death. So Lord and the spirit soul, of course, the spirit soul is part and parcel, but both of them have that eternity, and there is artificial imposition. And then I talked about why that artificial imposition need to be criticized, because by that imposition, so-called scientific community is trying to say that right now at this moment there is no Lord. Krishna was here. Krishna may come later if you have belief in that, but right now there is no God. This material world is void, and do whatever you want to do. So that verse talks that don't think like that. Don't think like that. That the presence of Krishna is not here. So connection, after talking Purusha Avatar and Lila Avatar, what is the connection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to this material world? Why we have to know these things? So Lord has very strong connection, and we have to know that this is a very interesting reason of area for Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Lord keep on coming. So what is the purpose of all the incarnations that we have studied? These incarnations that we have studied, because it has to do with the material world. The Purusha Avatar has to do with the creation of the material world, and this Lila Avatar has to do with the material world. So this material world is not something that is not falling into the paradigm of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Supreme Personality of Godhead is aware with each and every thing that is happening, that's moving around. So that justifies the title of this chapter. Krishna is the source of all incarnation, because through his incarnation, through his expansion, he is basically governing and managing the each and every activity that's happening in the material world. So this Virat Rupa concept comes, and then after that, there is verse number 33 here that that talks about Lord's subtle body. Okay, so Lord has a spiritual form, and then Virat Rupa is material form, gross form, not material form. Lord does not have a material form, imaginary concept. And then the concept of subtle form comes. Okay, so what I would like to do today, taking the reference of this verse number 35, I would, I'll try to little bit, explain and try to understand this gross and subtle aspect of the Supreme Lord. What are some of the gross and subtle appearance or aspect of the Lord himself? So in fact, next verses that we see, some of the verses, that's going to help us now put all of these things together. Okay, so basically, if you try to understand the key forms or key kind of features that is basically given in this chapter, is that Lord's three forms are mentioned here. First form is a spiritual form. Okay, and verse number 1 to 5 talks about Purusha Avatar, the Purusha incarnation of the Lord, and that has to do with the entire material creation. The entire material creation has to deal with, or has to basically do with this Purusha Avatar. Purusha Avatars are the expansion of the Lord, to sustain and support this material world. And then Leela Avatar is basically Lord is taking certain a specific feature and form to establish dharma, annihilate the miscreant, and protect the devotee. So in this material world, Leela Avatar are coming one after another. And then verse number 28, as I says, that very much summarize that all of the forms and features that we have seen so far, they are ete amsa kala unsa. They are part and parcel coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the second form of the Lord that is mentioned here is Virat Rupa, gross form. Etad Rupam Bhagavato, he Rupasya Chitatmanaha, Maya Gunair Virachitam, very powerful sentence, Maya Gunair Virachitam, Maha Adivir Atmani. Maha Adivir refers to all these material elements that is existing. And we have studied, I think we don't have studied here, but we know that there are total 28 elements and different, places by different acharyas. It has been referred by different number. Somewhere it says, 17, somewhere it says 13, somewhere it says 24, somewhere it says 23. So, we don't want to get into that. But the thing is that all these material elements, Maya Gunair Virachitam, this material world is basically created by Maya Gunair, by all these material elements that's coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do with the material element. Although this Virat Rupa is a gross form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but this form is for neophyte, who Anyur Anyar Mahato Mahiyan, for those who wants to understand how big is the Krishna. So this gross form is the form that anybody can see, okay, spiritual form that only pure devotee can understand and see. But the gross form is the form that people with their gross eyes can see. And then there's very important form of the Lord is mentioned, which is his subtle form. And subtle form is basically without the shape, unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. Atah param yad avyaktam, unmanifested. Ayudha, without any form. Guna brahmitam means beyond, or brahmita means basically to confuse, to delude. And adris, asrutaha, something that cannot be seen, asruta, that cannot be heard. Vastuvat sajivayat punarbhava. So there is another form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is without any form, which is unseen, which is unheard, and which is unmanifested. And then I would like to refer to verse number 26. That's talking about Avatarahi Asankhya Hare Sattva Nidher Dujaha Yatha Avidashinaha Kulaya Sarashaha Shehu Shehu Saharsaha. Saharsa means thousands. So Sarashaha means Shara, water. So like, the rivulet in the ocean, there are millions and billions of the forms and incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So verse number 26 very much kind of, although it's coming, somewhere, in the series of verses where we are talking about Lord's different incarnations, but that verse very much kind of, sandwich and, give us the essence for all the forms and features that Supreme Personality of Godhead can exist, and that is Asankhya. So Lord has a spiritual form, Lord has gross form, and Lord has subtle form. So how we can understand the concept of subtle form? Okay, so let's look at the example of fire. Okay, when we look at the fire, what is the quality fire has? Fire has heat. Okay, fire has heat, right? Fire has light. Okay, fire gives light, fire gives heat, and fire is fire itself. Okay, so fire has the potency to give the heat, fire has the potency to give the light, but fire is fire itself. Okay, so fire has the quality of heat and light, but fire is fire itself. For human being, for us, we have a gross body, and gross body is whatever karma, desire, svabhava, guna, dharma that we wanted to be into. Based upon that, Krishna has awarded us this body. So this is the gross body. This gross body has subtle aspect also. What are those subtle aspects? The subtle aspect is that psychic quality, mind, intelligence, false ego. These are the three basically subtle, existence of the human being. So we are gross element, and then we are subtle element, some psychic, some intelligence, some false ego, some degree of false ego, some degree of intelligence. That's comprise our quality. So our existence is not only this gross, but there is subtle aspect of that too. Very important to understand that our existence has a subtle aspect. But both gross and subtle aspect of our existence are material. We are, in fact, a spiritual being. You are a Sarubhaya Nitere Krishna Das. We are eternal being, and that eternity is basically our original identity. So, are we this gross body? Answer is no. Are we this subtle mind, intelligence, false ego, or some psychic, quality that we have developed? Answer is not. So who we are that spiritual body, that spirit soul. Okay, so let's go back to this slide now here. So we have to, although Lord has his Virat Rupa, Lord has his subtle form, but Lord himself is spiritual. Okay, Lord has nothing to do with this Virat Rupa, nothing to do with this subtle form. But Lord is so kind. Lord is so kind that he comes as Arch Vigraha, takes the form that is made of material element, so that with neophyte sight that we have got, we can try to understand the spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Virat Rupa is a gross form, and there is some subtle aspect of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But subtler than the subtle aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to understand the spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying in this purport, that Janma Karma Chamya Divyam. Prabhupada is very much citing that verse. Yomaveti Tatotah. The one who knows this in truth, after knowing this, he doesn't have to take the birth. So this gross and subtle form is given to help us understand that a spiritual form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll basically try to see some more example here. So fire has the heat and light, but fire is the fire itself. So Lord has his gross form, Lord has his subtle form, but Lord has his own, original form. I'm going to cite a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya that says that Ika Iswara Bhaktera Dhyana Anarupa Ekai Vigrahe Kare Nanakara Rupa. Yes, Eka Iswara Bhaktera Dhyana Anurupa. Dhyana means the mood, the type of meditation. So depending on how devotee wants to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Ek Ishwar, who is that Ek Ishwara? Akela Ishwar, Krishna, Arasavabharya. That Akela Ishwar is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Sri Hari, has taken Nana Akara Rupa, different, form and feature that Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken. For what? Bhogartham, Mokshartham. To help the conditioned soul. Paritanaya sadhuna vinasaya chaduskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami juge juge. These things we have to keep on coming back to understand and unfold the deeper meaning of the same thing that when first time we hear, it appears very light, very shallow, but it has very deep meaning. So Lord has manifested different forms and different features so that we can get attracted to one of his form, one of his feature, ultimately to come to the stage where we can meditate on his spiritual form and come to that state where we can see that Ishwar, Paramishwar is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That is why if you try to see the forms of Lord in that context, then one should not have the mentality of, doing the equality. So there is no room for equation that Lord, Rama and Lord Braha, or Rama is better than Braha, or Lord Braha versus Narasimha, oh, Narasimha is better than that type of equation. Hare Krishna Ratan should not be done. If you have the understanding that this is all form of the Lord, and also there should not be differentiations also in terms of that. We do have to differentiate between demigod or between other type of other type of form which is not coming from Vishnu Tattva. So there can be some differentiation to establish and understand that the form of the Lord is superior. But among the form of the Supreme Lord, all that forms that we have studied, especially the spiritual form, there should not be any differentiation. So these are the very important point that we have to understand, that Lord, although has his gross form, has his subtle form, but he is beyond both of this gross and subtle form. Another way, so I would like to basically a little bit talk more about the gross and subtle aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to make some of these points very clear. So this is the verse coming from third canto, chapter number 26, verse number 49, where Lord Kapila is talking to Mother Devavati, and he is saying that Parasya Drishyate Dharmo Hi Aparashmin Samanvayat Ato Viseso Bhavanam Bhumavah Evo Palakshate. So Parasya Drishyate Dharmo Hi Aparashmin Samanvayat Ato Vishesho Bhavanam Bhavana Bhumva Evo Palakshayate. Since the cause exists in its effect, the characteristic of the former are observed in the latter. That is why the peculiarities of all the elements exist in the earth alone. So, how to understand the concept of gross and subtle? This verse can help us understand the gross and subtle aspect of the material element. Let's try to understand gross and subtle element of the material element, and then from there we'll build and try to understand the gross and subtle aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all of you know that ether has quality of sound, air has quality of touch and sound, fire has the quality of form, fire is a form, fire can be touched, And when fire is, burning, lighting on, you can hear some sound also. So fire has the quality of form, touch, and sound. Water has the quality of taste. Water gives taste. It has form, for sure it has form. You can touch it, and it has sound. When you are pouring the water, sound comes. And earth has quality of smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. So right side, we have 5 gross element, and left side we have 5 subtle element, tan mantra, gyan indriya. So which can be only perceived by the subtle intelligence. But earth, being the grossmost element, material element, it has all other qualities. So that's this verse is saying that effect has the cause embedded inside it. Effect has the cause embedded inside it. Another beautiful example that we can see here, that earth has all of these 5 gross element to it. It has all that 5 all those 4 gross element to it, and it has all those 5 subtle elements to it. So earth is basically combination. If earth is basically affect, then it has all the causes with it. Now let's see, when any plant or any flower is coming out of earth. So earth has that gross existence and that subtle element. And from that gross and subtle element, you can see flower comes. So flower itself has a gross element, and then the smell that comes out of it has a subtle element too. So a combination of gross and subtle element can create another gross and subtle element. So this gross and subtle existence is basically existing simultaneously. Sometimes we see, sometimes we may not see. So Lord also has some gross aspect of his form, some subtle aspect of his form. Both gross and subtle exist with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond this both gross and subtle form. And there are series of reference and verses, in Bhagavad Gita also we can cite many verses, in Srimad Bhagavatam also many verses where it comes that these elements are described to help us understand that the Lord has both gross and subtle form, but he is beyond both this gross and subtle elements of his existence. So we saw that Lord has a spiritual form, he has gross form, and he has subtle form. The living being also has his spiritual form. It has gross form, they have the gross form, and there is subtle aspect of their existence too. So then question comes, are we as good as Lord himself, right? That's so Lord has the same feature and form, we have same feature and form. So how we differentiate ourselves from the Lord? So what I would like to understand from all of you is that, can you help me understand what are so this is my answer. So what are some forms and feature of the Jiva and living being, which are basically different? So how we can differentiate the Lord's spiritual gross and subtle aspect and living being a spiritual gross and subtle aspect? One thing that we can see very clearly is that Lord can basically choose. Lord has full freedom to decide what forms, what features, what type of activity he wants to do. But living beings have no choice. We don't have choice. I mean, this human form of body that we have got, I had no choice. The intelligence, false ego that I have gotten, I don't have much choice. So that's how we can see some of the differences. So may I get some of the answer from audience here? What are some of the differences? Can you tell, please?
Our form is minute,
Yeah,
Lord is infinite.
Lord. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was just saying, sorry, Prabhuji, you go ahead. Oh no, I was just saying like Lord is Vibhu and living being is Anu.
So Lord is like infinite, right?
Yeah.
And living beings are part and parcel.
Yeah.
Right?
Finite, minute.
Yeah, infinitesimal. So what does it mean? How we understand in a practical way? So what is the practical application for that? That Lord can basically depict any quality up to full extent, right? So what were your thought process with saying that the Lord is Vibhu and we are Anu?
I mean, definitely like, for example, like Lord can do whatever he wants to do, but even if we have like free will, it is very like minute, like we cannot exert our like full potential of free will, even if we have it to a little extent. Yeah.
So Lord can depict any specific quality up to the fullest extent, and we cannot. So, knowledge, beauty, those 6 qualities that we have talked about, Lord has all of them in full, but we might have a little bit of that, or intelligence, or anything else. Okay, that's good, Mataji, thank you. But we were saying something. What is the next one? We need to understand the difference, otherwise this discussion is not going to get to the conclusion of it. So please say something, whatever understanding you have. You were saying something, Madhurya Prabhu?
Prabhu, I was saying the same thing, Prabhu, infinite and finite.
Okay, so is there some other points that you can say? Choice, no choice, infinite, and Vibhu and Anu. What else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
We can see living being, but we cannot see the Lord.
We can see living being, we cannot see the Lord. So what exactly is the point? Yeah, so we can see living being. So we can see gross form, you were saying, we can't see subtle. So we have to give the difference in context of, gross and subtle aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and gross and subtle aspect of the human being or living being.
Prabhuji, can it be like we are dependent on senses, but Lord does not need any senses?
Yes, we are Lord is independent. Yes. Lord is independent and we are dependent. We are dependent on so many things. Swarata, so Lord is Swarat. Lord does not have to depend on his senses or any one of his existence for anything. So he is independent of. I want something like that.
So Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So Lord is a Sarvagna Tattvam.
Yes,
Sarvavyapakam.
He is omnipotent. Yes. So omnipotent element is there with the infinite. Let's say omniscient. Okay. Yeah, right. Lord is omniscient.
And he is not restricted to the Desha, Kala, and time.
Yes. So we are restricted. I don't know something. Hold on. Just 1 minute, Mataji. Yes. So we are restricted. That's a good point. We are restricted and Lord is omniscient. Yes. What else? Yeah. These are some good points. Yeah. So we are restricted. Okay. But Lord is not. We are bound by karma, right?
Yes.
So that element should be here. That we are whatever intelligence and form that we have got, bound by karma. But Lord has nothing to do with anything of this karma, right?
Yes.
No binding force. No, this is very important. Don't think that this is not important for the discussion, because if you want to understand, I said that both Lord and living being have these three features. Then it's very important for us to understand the difference. So I could have, just, had one slide to show that difference, but I'm not sure how much impact that would have made. So that's why we are just trying to see what are the things that you all can think. Yes, so no binding. There is no binding for the Lord, but we have, what else? What else do we have?
So,
He
and our
is
body.
supreme controller.
Sorry,
somebody is saying something.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
He is the controller and we are controlled, right?
Yeah. So, Bhivu, independent, dependent is saying the same thing, I believe.
Okay.
Well, we can, there could be more than that, so we can write that one. I mean, Ishwara. That Ishwara, huh?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
It's not uncontrolled, Prabhu. I think we are controlled, yeah.
Okay. So what are the other?
So Prabhu, I think Lord has all 64 qualities in full.
Uh-huh.
5 opulences in full.
Yeah, that's very good point. 64 qualities, yes.
In full.
How many living beings have?
50, I think, Prabhu. Jivas have 50 qualities.
50 qualities. Yes. So that's very, see here,
50
that's,
partial.
yes. Huh?
50 not full, Prabhu, like limited.
Yeah, 50 qualities.
Not fully, not full. Some
In
extent. Some extent. Yeah, very.
Various combinations. Yes. So these are some of the, this is very important. That's the, basically thing we are taking. What else? Yeah, I like that. 64 qualities and we have only 50 qualities. Yes. What else?
And our Jivatma body was made up of Panchabhutas, and God's body was made of Pancha.
Yeah,
things.
so that part is here. That Lord has a spiritual form, which means Satchit Ananda, right?
Yes.
So we are also, the spirit soul is also made of Satchit Ananda. But our Satchit Ananda might not be, as quantitatively, equal to Lord's form. But yeah. So we have also a spiritual form. Lord also has a spiritual form.
Prabhu, we are controlled by the 3 modes of material nature.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we are controlled by the 3 gunas,
Yes.
and Lord is having
control.
Siddha Shattvaya Challi.
Yes. So, affected by guna, that's very important point. I was looking, I have those in my answer sheet. Yes, affected by guna. We are very much affected by guna, and Lord is beyond guna. This is very, very important point. Very important point to be noted.
We are writing opposite.
Yeah, right. I'm writing opposite. Thank you, Prabhu. Beyond guna, affected by guna. Affected by guna. Exactly. What else?
Lord in the heart observes and sanctions, and he'll not control the free will of living entities. Living entities helplessly.
So this one is here.
Prabhu, what about we change bodies?
Yes. So changing body, did I write there karma choice or no choice? Yeah, I said here that yes, Mataji, go ahead, make your point. Maybe you are saying something else.
No, I was just saying maybe you got that bound by karma, but yeah, that is also there. So I was just saying we change bodies, but God does not. So
yeah, right. Okay, so it's already 8 o'clock, but the essence, I wanted to basically kind of, make this concept very clear, because I'm not sure that going through these verses, we are catching, these key essential points that's running through. This chapter is very powerful chapter, very important chapter. The more we dwell into it, the more we try to grind it, the more nectar will come. And then we'll relish it up to the fullest extent. Very powerful chapter. So many points that can be made out of the purport translation and verse itself. So I think just wanted to kind of leave the class here that Lord has both the subtle and gross aspect, and he is beyond this gross and subtle. He has nothing to do with this gross and subtle. But Lord, just to help conditioned soul who are suffering in the material world, he comes. He takes different forms and features to attract living being so that they can go back to home, back to Krishna. So that's the, that's the basically mercy. Ito guna bhuto hari. That goon is so powerful. The guna, the quality of the Lord is so powerful that all the great personality, doesn't matter who they are, they are serving Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with that, I'll just give a pause and try to see if the understanding that I was trying to share was clear. And if there is any question, or I have some other slide here, but I think just respecting the time that we have, I'll just stop here, and we can talk some of this aspect later also. I'm sure that there will be multiple occasions where we can go deeper, and there are some other inherent concept that I cannot talk today given the time, so I'll just give a pause here. Thank you, Prabhuji, Mataji, so kind of all of you. Let's have some discussion. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the nice overview, Prabhu. I was kind of getting lost, going through the verse 30 to 36. I wasn't getting the bigger picture, the connection between the verses. So now it's very much more clear to me, the subtle and gross forms of the Lord, and the comparison you did was very, very, very useful. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving that bigger picture. Really appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anything else anybody has?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I have one quick question, Prabhuji. We used to say we all are part and parcel of the Lord. What is the exact meaning of part and parcel, Prabhu? And are we coming from the Lord's specific body or energies, or what is that mean, Prabhu?
Deepika Mataji, you were asking this question. I just wanted to know. Did you ask Mataji? Deepika Mataji, you asked the question, or Sujana Mataji?
Sujana Mataji,
Oh,
Prabhu.
okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you sounded like very much Deepika Mataji, so I was not sure. That's why I wanted to say.
Prabhu, it's not me.
Yeah, nothing about the person. I just wanted to find out who is asking. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, so basically, when we say part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means there could be various degree of understanding, various ways to see it. We can see in a qualitative way, we can see that in a quantitative way. If you try to see in a quantitative way, then basically Lord is also Satchit Ananda. Vishwara Parama Krishna Satchita Ananda Vigraha. So he is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Form of the Lord is Satchit Ananda. And living being also is Satchit Ananda. But living being have minute degree of freedom comparing to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Achinta Veda, Veda Tattva, simultaneously one and difference. So this, if you look at on the context of oneness and difference, there is basically same Tattva. And we just also saw that the effect has the cause. So cause, Sarva Karan Karanam, cause of all the causes, is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is cause of all the cause. And his effect also has his feature. Okay, so living beings are not a very ordinary entity, not a type of subject that does not have power or does not have capabilities or does not have the potential. So part and parcel, when we say that part and parcel itself is very, very potent, very, very powerful. Why? Because it's coming from Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, it's coming from Lord himself. Are we his energy? Yes. Yes. We are energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As fire has light, fire has heat. Both light and heat are energy of the fire. Likewise, all the living beings are, he has his internal energy, he has his external energy. Right now, we are part of his external energy because we are positioned into the material world. Okay, so Tattva, the element, is same, but it's in minute. We are energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right now, we are positioned into the material world, so we are very much dealing with his external energy. But once we become self-realized, then we go back to home, back to Krishna. Then that time we become his internal energy. So Jiva position is basically tatastha. He can be external, he can be internal. Jiva has to decide where he has to go, where he doesn't have to go. So these are some of the quantitative, difference. The qualitative difference is that some of the quality that we saw that Lord has 64 quality, we have 50 quality. 50 quality itself is really too many qualities. Lord Brahma has also 50 quality because he is Jiva Tattva. So you are non-different than Lord Brahma. You can be as powerful as Lord Brahma. Okay, so your quality and Lord Brahma quality is almost, if you really manifest all of those quality, then you'll be almost similar to Lord, Brahma. So that's what it is. Although we have the potency to show those quality, but those qualities are not fully manifested. But qualitatively, you are very close. You are very close to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there are many ways we can, see these differences. Does it help understand?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much.
So we should not, ignore ourselves. We should not, although we are trying to be servant of the servant, and we are trying to develop the mood of humility, that mood, that certain spiritual quality. When we say that a spiritual quality, what does it mean? When we say that, oh, this person has divine quality, this person has a spiritual quality, what does it mean? It means that that person is possessing the quality that is beyond this mode, beyond this, guna. He's transcended. He's acting on some platform which is not within the periphery of this material world. So when we be humble by dropping ourselves at the feet of a devotee, we are dropping all of these material conceptions. So being humble is not, being weak. Okay, being humble is crossing this material, realm. Okay, so spiritual quality, divine quality means that tatastha shakti. The jiva has this tatastha potency, but even in the spiritual world, jiva can possess some of the quality that will be of the a spiritual world. Okay, so that is why we are taught that let's try to cultivate a spiritual quality. And as we are practicing, we are sinusoidal, come, down, up, go. Sometimes we have those qualities, sometimes we don't have. So we have to basically come to the steady state where constantly we can retain those qualities. That's why it says that unless and until you don't come to the mode of goodness, how you can transcend it? It's not possible to transcend and go in Suddha Sattva from the ignorance or from the passion. Nobody can go that. That's why it's very important that one to first understand the process of bhakti. What is the essence of the process of bhakti? Where we should head, what should be our goal? Not shastric understanding, not being a great speaker, not reciting the verses, not showing our intellectual or buddhi, not these things cannot touch bhakti. So how we can touch and get the mercy of the Bhakti Devi by cultivating and by trying to develop those spiritual quality, because with those spiritual quality we can get mercy of Bhakti Devi. So these qualities are very important, and jiva should not understand that, oh, I don't have potency. Immense potency the jiva has, but not in the wrong way also. The same potency, if it's misdirected, it will create a unorganized, uncivilized organization. Like right now, this material world has come to. Why? Because the potency is there. The intelligence is there to create, put metallic things together and feel it and make it fly. That intelligence is there. Krishna has given that intelligence. But that intelligence is being used in the wrong way. Rather, the main purpose of the human existence is that how we can liberate. That's what Srila Prabhupada always says. Jan mitu jara bedhi. These are the real problem of the human being. We are invested solving the problem of the, scientific things or anything else. So when I say potency, very powerful. Anything that we see happening in the society, that's because of the human beings are potent. They are, they have immense potency, but it is misdirected. So that's why taking the shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam and being humble servant of a pure devotee, pride cannot give us anything. So these are some of the things we have to understand. Anybody has anything else that they would like to ask or share? Thank you, Hari Hari. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, anybody has any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. So, I was asked if we can take this morning program to temple, because now temple is opening, and there was a morning Bhagavatam recitation happening in temple on every Saturday. So I'm not sure, what should I do? I'm kind of very much in a middle of, I see that many of you are very, very enthusiastically, consistently coming from over, 2 years and chanting in the morning, and also taking, shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. But that doesn't give a full package. The full package for the morning program is that we should get up in the morning and start our morning by chanting Guru Astakam, Sansara Dhava Anulalila Lokam. Then after that, we should do Tulsi Maharani, take the shelter of the pure devotee, Tulsi Maharani. And then after that, we chant our round. And then after that, we do a Bhagavatam class, and then we are free to do other services. So we are doing chanting, and we are doing Bhagavatam recitation, but we are not doing Guru Astakam, and we are not doing Tulsi prayer. I'm sure you might be doing at our home, but if we move this whole thing in the temple on every Saturday, and if devotees are committed, that's going to be really very potent, very powerful. If few devotees like this group, 10 or 12 devotees, I see sometimes 14 or 15, but mostly 10, 12 is the average. 12, I would say that average number. If the same group of devotee really dedicate themselves that, will get up in the morning at 4 o'clock on every Saturday, get into temple, chant, Guru Astakam, then do Tulsi Maharani prayers, and then chant together, read Srimad Bhagavatam, then come home. That would be very powerful. Devotees are doing this all over. If you look at some of the devotees, they are forming a small group, and they are associating. That's real association, coming together and doing some of the sadhana, or taking some of the limbs of the bhakti together. That's real association. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that as a food of thought, and we'll continue talking about that later. But it will be nice if we can give some more commitment and try to do this program from temple. That's something, I'm thinking, but I don't know. Okay. With that, anything else anybody has to say what I just said? I'm sure that it will drop, right? I don't want that to also happen. Even if 5 or 6 devotees, if they are coming together and we are having some Hari Katha together, that will have, that itself is very powerful. At the same time, we are not doing everything. So let's think about that, and